Oh, how you been? This is another episode of DB2 Bets brought to you by Betstamp, where we use the Betstamp app and we're finding the best odds available across all of the different sportsbooks out there, and by Yup Beer. Visit yupbeer.com to find a location near you. Over 200 in Ontario. As I take a sip of this Land Shark, my bad, no yups up at the cottage. How's it going? Josh Elijah here, your host for the week. Mike Fulmer still out as well, as he is about to give birth. I mean, his better half, but he's having a kid. He's coming in hot. So missing him here, but as always, we have the pillar of our show, Birdman, Jesse McKay. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too. I feel like we haven't really chatted much this week. We've just been so busy. Nice to see your face.
Yeah, man. It's been a minute. Last week was like nothing but recordings and meetings and stuff, and it was a hell of a week, hell of a grind. And then it was just like we were saying before the show, it's just nice to have a couple days of just like not doing that and just doing normal chores like fucking laundry and like just taking care of necessities, like taking a shower every now and then. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's been nice to actually just zone out for a little bit and just throw on some Netflix or something. Just watch the documentary on Donaghy. It's been nice just kind of to hang out and do your own thing for a couple days here. But we're back at it. We're actually going to be taking a bit of a break. This is the final DB2 bets for a couple weeks, as there's just a lot of things going on personally for both of us. I mean, work has been really busy for you. I got a bachelor party plus wedding plus a trip to Florida, a bunch of shit coming up. So we're gonna be taking a couple weeks off. It seems like most people take August off, but we plug through August, and then now we're gonna take a couple weeks to ourselves in September. But we have a very juicy episode of our regular Down by Two podcast coming out on Tuesday, September 6th. Actually, we're gonna wait for the holiday Monday to come and go and release our latest episode with TSN's David Sanchez, former cornerback in the CFL and NFL as well, and now TV personality, which was a delight to chat with him. Really stoked. Yeah, it was. Man, what a treat to have him on the show. Definitely excited to air that right before the beginning of the NFL season. So pumped. But without further ado, let's introduce our guest for this episode. Super stoked, man. Super stoked to be able to have him on. He's been a pal of mine for years. We both started out in comedy, hitting up open mics in Toronto. And then I guess we've moved out of Toronto and are making our homes in other cities. We've actually worked together professionally during our day jobs as well. And now it's all come full circle, and we have him on DB2 Bets. But he's the host of Pitch Talks and Less Than Jays, and also now a part of the Parleh, which is a great sports collective focused on sports betting. We have the one, the only Andrew Glen Zuber, aka Archie, aka the Zubes. Buddy, how you doing, man? So good to fucking see you. Looking better than ever.
Well, that's not true. Better than ever is not true. You can say I look okay. Better than ever.
You're looking okay. You're looking good. You're looking at a modest 7.5. I'd say then. Fine.
That's pretty good. Hey, I'll take that most days. That would have been on a report card. That would have been one of the grades that I like pointed out.
You know what? Yeah. Honestly, like I'd skip class and I'd escape with a B minus. If I got a B minus, like I'm fucking jumping for joy. I'm doing good. It's coasting as Jish right there. But man, how's it going? What's going on? How have things been over on your end?
Life has been overwhelming and non-stoply relentless for me lately. I have a 4-month-old, my first child. Yeah, and it's
adorable.
My life is just completely different than it was. If you spoken to me 5 months ago, it's truly great. 4 months is a great age. It's been wild.
What has been like, obviously, like just even bringing in a kid into the world, that's like obviously just a brand new chapter for you. But what are some of the things that really caught you off surprise that you weren't really expecting?
I think the word relentless is what I would use for it. In that, like, until truly, I hate to be the person who's like, until you've done it, yada yada. But like, there's no like, when you have a job and you're just like really busy, and then you're like, okay, like you were doing right now, Josh. Like, I'm gonna go to the cottage and fucking take a breath.
Yeah, right.
None of that. There's no call in sick. There's no I can't show up today. There's no personal, like, it's nonstop 24/7.
Go. It's another full-time job. on top of that as well.
It's just a little bean for the first little bit. Now he's 4 months old. He's at his first stages of like, you can put him down and like take a step back and breathe.
Yeah, he's a rude dude now with a bit of a tood, hey?
Yeah, jamming stuff into his mouth and drooling. Those are his passions. So
really passionate about.
Dude, I get it. Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, we basically still act like toddlers. Man, that's so. So tell me, what are you just going to throw him? Like, obviously, we're just looking down the line here. Are you going to throw him into literally every sport possible? Is that going to be the case?
I'm going to try to keep hockey from him for a long time.
Thank you.
There's just no chance I can afford for this kid to play hockey.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, man. Especially like, I feel like, I mean, like I feel like hockey in Toronto, like if you grow up as a city kid, but you're not like, I feel like there aren't as many hockey players in the core of the city as when you get out, like Kitchener, like in and around your area, or for me, London, like that's where it becomes another full-time job on top of that as well.
All the other ones, it seems like you get them a pair of shoes.
Bro, basketball, easy.
Hockey is like, you need to arm them head to toe. With like,
man.
So expensive.
I'd rather not.
Yeah, baseball, another great one too, where you get the kid a glove and then figure it out.
But listen, who knows what these kids are going to grow up to get hooked on.
Absolutely.
I grew up getting hooked on baseball. I'm of a certain age where like, you couldn't have your team be better, like be good at a better part of your life than for me. I was 7 and 8 years old when the Blue Jays were it's like, so just like, oh, I'm hooked on this forever, I guess. So just sort of like, I think there's a generational thing of people who really got attached to them in that way, in the way that I think you see sort of the Raptors getting with probably a lot of young people,
absolutely.
Yeah. Like, it's, of course I love the Raptors. Why would I not? Like, they won the title when I was a kid. Like, that sounds fucking amazing. I've been that way with baseball and grew up in a bit of a baseball family. So I know it's crazy to bet on, but I love to fucking watch.
It is so
watch
wild.
it every day.
It is so wild. And just on the betting aspect of things, I'm so excited for football and then hockey and basketball to be showing back up, because like this summer, it is so hard to bet baseball. I find it to be one of the toughest sports to actually bet on. And it's been a long summer of baseball picks, but that's why we had to end it off with someone who knows his shit about baseball as well. But just even to your point though, when it comes to kids growing up and getting into sports, I mean, I must have been 5 years old then when the Jays won their last World Series, and then that's like my earliest memories of getting into baseball. So that's literally it, because obviously my dad super jazzed over that and pumped over the Jays winning, so immediately into baseball right after that. So definitely can see that. Now before we get into betting, just a little bit of background about the Zubes and myself. We started out together doing comedy back in Toronto, back when I was running the Fox and Fiddle up at Keel and Finch for all those years.
Oh my God.
Those are my first memories of you, my dude. And let me tell you, some chaos that went down in those basements. Everything from just fights breaking out on stage to like then the owner breaking up those fights and kicking the shit out of those guys that started it. It's just like people getting naked in crowds. Like it's just been anything you can imagine that would happen wrong at a comedy show, it would happen. And it's just, man, it's great to catch up after all these years as well, and be able to chop it up here on the show. Any sort of memories of doing shows back in the day, like at the Fox or otherwise?
Yeah, certainly at the Fox. It was a early honor for me to be able to be asked to be out there. Somebody wanting me to show up somewhere is like all I had at that point with that. You know what's funny looking back at all that at those times for me, because you still do it, right? You're still you're still getting booked. You're still out there.
Yeah.
I'm a home. I realized that quickly. I was like, I'm a homebody. I like to be at home. I like to be warm with my like wife. It's nice to be. I like to be home eating meals in my house and like going to bed. You really want it.
Me too.
Really want it to be a comic, right? You have to really want to be out there and hit it. But it's funny. I look back at it now, and times like you're talking about, where in the moment, like I can't believe I'm doing an open mic for 5 people. I can't believe I'm. You know what I mean? I can't believe I'm
being stoked about it though.
Yeah, things going well, things going poorly. You look back at them now, and you're like, damn, those are the best parts of that. Was like in the moment, the real struggling things, the things where you're like, oh my God, this is like, this is mortifying that this is happening. those are the moments that I actually remember and look back at and just like,
absolutely.
That was actually awesome. Like, what a good for me for being out there, you know what I mean? And giving it a shot and having those experiences.
Well, I mean, man, that was part of it too, and part of the grind where it's just like a Tuesday night and you got 3 mics lined up and you were grinding it out to the Central, and then you're going over to Comedy Bar and you're trying to hit up as many. Oh boy. Yeah. And then like that you're there for like the early like workshop, like big show. And then you go over and do like Yuck's amateur night on the Tuesday night. And then you go back over to the Central for just an even shittier crowd. So I mean, it's definitely a grind, but those were like some of my favorite nights, man. And like obviously, like we wouldn't have, I guess grew as comedians if it wasn't for putting in those reps. So yeah, man, it's definitely gonna remember those times and where it all started and how we really met, which is it's been pretty dope, and yeah, you know what, I totally relate with you, especially when it comes to even whether or not like if it's you hanging out with like with your partner and now your kid, or if it's you hanging out with like a group of friends, and then it's 9 o'clock and you're like, oh fuck, like I gotta leave a room full of my friends to go stand up in front of a room full of strangers that really don't even know that there's a comedy show going on until I show up. It's like it's such a weird thing for people to want to go and do, but it's amazing when it pays off. So it's
there's no feeling like it in the world. But also, that's sort of what makes it a discipline and what makes it a craft, right? That's what separates. If you didn't have to do that stuff, then guys like me would be comics, right? It's sort of like that's the whole point, is that you have to sort of go out and continue to sharpen that steel and continue doing it, because that's what makes it. I was very aware that like I knew basically exactly how successul I could get, and I was like, "There's a lot of guys that look exactly like me and talk exactly."
I mean, you do have the prototype, like you are, like you got it. You got like that sort of cross sort of look. Yeah, I mean, like I guess Jesse, you can definitely relate to that too. I mean, like there's so many parallels when it comes to music and comedy and just the overall grind as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, open mics are few and far in between, especially when it comes to your fucking gnarly licks that you bust out on your guitar with the heavy chug. But man, there's definitely still a lot of parallels when it comes to that, though. No.
Yeah, man. I can remember like I remember we got booked at like a fairly bigger club. And the show was so early, and I was like, why is this so early? And the promoter's like, oh, there's like 8 bands on this bill. I was like, what? and he's like, I want you guys to open because you're a big draw and you're gonna pull a lot of people in. And I was like, okay. And they wanted us to go on at 5:30 p.m.
Oh,
and I was like, dude, people are still working at this time. Like, are you nuts? Bro, I shit you not. My one buddy came out, and it was just him. We played for him, man. It was great.
Oh, dude.
But like, I've played shows in front of like 1,000 people. You know what I mean? And it's just like, but that show I'm always gonna remember because it was fucking hilarious. One, second, my buddy went like hard as shit.
Yeah,
and it was just like kind of a joke, you know what I mean? Like we were laughing the whole time. We're like, jamming up here, right?
Especially if you are that one buddy in the crowd and you're up there just like a private show for you.
Yeah,
fuck yeah, that dude better be fucking he better be starting his own mosh pit by himself, like literally sending himself haymakers. But like, if I am that one dude there to go see my buddy do stand up, like I gotta fucking laugh my ass off of it. But that would also be very awkward as well because it's just a conversation, except for one person has a microphone.
Yeah. I don't know about that.
Oh man, it's funny that you will remember that one experience, whereas like with us, I feel like we have hundreds of those where it's just like you walk in and there are 8.
The only one.
Okay. It's the one that's
like, it just came to mind, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's been so many shows where it's like there's 8 people in the crowd and 7 of them are comics and the other person's a bartender, and you're just like fucking. Let's buck. That's the Imperial at Yonge and Dundas for you. So if you want to go check out a comedy show any day of the week, that's what it'll be. But yeah, no. Okay, well let's jump into it. Before we do a little bit of picks, let's talk about you're now on the Parleh and tell us a little bit more about what you're doing with the Parleh and just love to hear a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I think probably similar here. They've put me sort of in a position to be able to make sports content, which is something I love to do. I'm making picks videos on weekends generally.
Nice.
I basically set up here, and Parleh is sort of like a content creation sort of hub. So they sort of like I've had the work that is generally worked in on partnership with North Star Bets, which is where the Pitch Talks is a North Star Bets podcast, which is sort of like it as a content creation hub sort of is working with a couple of these books. So it's been a neat opportunity there in a space that I didn't expect to be in, but sports media was something that I was doing before I met you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been doing it basically since I was 21. I've been doing it either full time or part time
with the Score and Sportsnet as well. And
that's right. So a couple
awesome.
Tours there as a producer and as a on their digital team. So sort of like, it's been an interesting journey, an interesting ride, and I get to do cool, fun stuff. Pitch Talks is a blast, and then Less Than Jays is a self-produced podcast with my friend Jake Goldsby, who you may know from Degrassi, if you're a Degrassi
fan. No way. Oh wow, that's awesome. Wow. So then I get the Less Than Jake, and now but it's Less Than Jays. I get it. That's amazing. Love that, dude. Yeah. So you can check that out basically at on any platforms that you can catch your podcasts on.
Correct.
That's fantastic. Sweet. Well, I mean, speaking of the Jays, then let's jump into it. We got 3 picks for you for our first opening weekend of September baseball, and we're going to be focusing in on Friday, September the 2nd. And again, these picks are brought to you by Betstamp, where we're using that Betstamp app. Make sure that you just download the app. It's free. It's literally on, whether it's on the App Store or Google Play, just go and find it and use referral code DB2, because that is going to unlock all of the different sports books that we are affiliated with, that Betstamp is affiliated with, and you can go and use that referral code because it will open up different sign-up bonuses to all of those amazing sports books. So make sure you do that. And obviously, make sure that you're line shopping, because that's the whole point of the show, where we take a look at all the games that our guest Andrew Zuber has picked out for us, and we have been able to shop them and find the best lines for all of these games. And we're keeping this within the AL, and it's kind of a wild card race sort of thing that we're looking at here. The Yankees, obviously, I mean, I don't know what you think, but I definitely think that they have the division on lock. We'll see. But we'll start off with the Blue Jays, and any sort of thoughts opening up here before we jump into your actual Jays pick for Friday.
Yeah, I think it's gotten to what you would call nut cutting time here.
That's a great Gibby reference. That's fantastic.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But I think this is the part of the schedule that they know they have to take seriously. Like, September is here. It's time to having the day off on Thursday, I think, helps them. They get Manoah. Pittsburgh has nothing. Even Chicago, and the Angels, it's like they played tough to some bad teams recently, but Pittsburgh is like nothing, and they have Manoah, which means they're going to be taking it serious. There's not going to be like a lackadaisical thing, and they have a guy that's going to be out there focused and dialed in, and some focus has been part of the problem recently. So I think for me, all this points to sort of the Angels being a bit of a blip and then being ready to go at the start of September. So I like them on the money line, because again, Pittsburgh, no offense to speak of.
Oh man, I mean, I love Reynolds. I mean, I have him on my fantasy, but that's about it. It kind of stops there. And when you talk about the Jays, though, very disappointing weekend against the Angels. A bit of a blip, if you will. It looked like the blip was about to continue on. Is it though? I mean, like they really got to capitalize on those lower tiered teams, but then you go on to the Cubs, and it looked like that blip was about to spill on into that series until Jansen woke up, and we had Jansen basically save us from that. So definitely a little discouraging with that series. Obviously they took care of business on game 2 against the Cubs, and then obviously losing 7-5 on Wednesday. So looking to, now that we're going into Pittsburgh, don't think that's really going to make much of a difference, because the Jays are very heavily favored. Do you want to talk us a little bit more about the matchup that we're looking at here? Obviously Manoah. I don't really know much about Oveda on the mound for Pittsburgh. Any sort of weaknesses that the Jays need to be looking at going up and matching up against the Pirates?
I mean, take your pick of weaknesses. I mean, it's the great thing about betting against the Pirates is you don't have to do much talking yourself into like what could go wrong for them to lose this game. You just
see that yellow P and you're like, great, I'll do the opposite. Yeah. I mean, they are brutal. So I mean,
or they could get no hits, or they could field poorly. Like, take your pick. Yeah. However you want to. Like, here's how Pittsburgh will lose. But
they haven't been able to figure it out for years. So
yeah. And Manoah gives me a ton of confidence. So I think. I think even the end of the series, as you pointed out, losing the last game 7-5 to Chicago, I almost feel optimistic a little bit about that. It's like the 5 runs is like almost take it. You're sort of like they were so desperate for offense in the last little bit. The 5 runs, even in a loss, to me is like, okay, I think they have some things figured out. I think some of the vibes, the worm is turning a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm ready for them to come out and handle this Pittsburgh team.
Jesse, you do the only time you really like betting the Jays, and I know you've been super frustrated with them all year betting them. But you really, yeah, I mean, but they still somehow make it onto the show because we love our Jays, we love our hometown pick.
Not
but
by me.
yeah, not by.
I avoid that shit like the plague.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, absolutely.
Anytime I actually put money on them, they fucking lose every time.
They've probably been the favorites. Like, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they've played 130-ish games. They've probably been the favorites like 125 times. It's wild. It's like, what do they have to do to not be favored?
that one series against Kansas City when they had like 10 players that couldn't cross the border. Man, that first game, I hammered that shit so hard.
Yeah.
I was like, how? Like, how did we lose that, man?
You were so cheesed.
Jays since then. Baseball in general, to be honest. Just like
I think you're ready for this for the year to be over, the betting season, I guess, to be over, and
it's madness.
Some new sports to come in here. But the one thing, this is a Jesse play though, is that you basically only touch them when Manoah is on the mound.
Yes, that is correct.
That is correct.
That is
leave it at
that.
So let's drop the hammer on it then. We're gonna take the Toronto Blue Jays on the run line -141. That's pretty fucking steep for a run line.
I know.
-141, but you look at the money line and it's the best odds are out there with Cool Bet. Hey, look at who's there again. Cool Bet -238. So we're actually going to take them on the run line. That's -1.5 runs. And that's at -141 for that run line, and available on Sports Interaction. That's one of our go-to books that we really like using as well. So make sure that you are using the Betstamp app and finding what the best odds. And for this one, Sports Interaction. Boom, there it is. Lock it in. Moving along, we have the New York Yankees as they are taking on the TB Rays in Tampa, I believe, in Tropicana. So let's talk a little bit more about this game and talk about our matchup. We actually don't really know who's going to be pitching for the Rays, but we know that we got Domingo German, however you say his name. So yeah, talk to us about this pick.
God, I hate the Rays so much.
I fucking hate the Rays, man. Brutal park, man. It's gotta be the worst park in all of baseball as well. And I just fucking the Rays are just the fucking Rays.
It's torture to watch. It's torture
to watch. It really is. It's there's always just like a solid like 5,000 people at games. It is what it feels like. But yeah, no, it's I don't like the Rays. I obviously don't like anybody except for, you know what? I do find myself cheering for Baltimore a little bit.
Stop that right now.
I know. I want to see them do all right. Like it's just they've been so doo-doo for so many years.
It's the shitty bird team.
It's not that many years. It's not that many years.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I don't know.
Recently as the Blue Jays were.
Yeah, you're right. You know what? You're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Fuck the O's. Fuck the O's. I don't know. I just have a soft spot for some of the players on that team.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Fair enough. We digress. Let's talk about two other teams that we fucking hate. Jump into the Yankees and Rays matchup that we have here.
Yeah, Yankees on the road. They are dogs. Listen, it's been a bit of an exposure as to a bit of some fraud alert with that Yankees team. Obviously, they banked a ton of games early in the year. Got it done with, they had the best pitching and the best offense for a little bit. I think they sort of fumbled the deadline. I think the Montgomery from Montes was sort of a move for the sake of a move to appease, and I don't think it was the right thing to do. And then the infield, other than Rizzo, they get nothing from the shortstop position, and Donaldson is pretty well past his prime, and moving on from Sanchez, they don't have the reliable catcher offense anywhere either. It's been a bit of a free fall, and yet I'm still taking them against the Rays. I think they have what it takes to go into that nightmare zone, and sort of the little cube, the little triangle of who can beat who works out that the Rays always beat the Jays, and the Jays are beating the Yankees, but the Yankees will beat the Rays. I think
There you go.
That's how the ecosystem works.
That's it's the triangle. I like it. Yeah, when it comes to the Yankees, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I definitely think that move to get rid of Montgomery. I mean, for me being a Cardinals fan too, like I like that. It's probably the move of the deadline, really. But yeah, I think absolutely for them to pick up Montas as well was not, there's a move for the sake of making a move, sort of thing. And Benintendi, fine, but like. Yeah, I definitely think that that deadline did not really work out for them in their favor. But going into Tampa right now, I believe, has the top wildcard spot for the AL.
Somehow, some way, those fucking Rays, I swear,
they're always there. They're never bad.
Bird, how are they the fucking top wild card?
With no money. With no money. Like, I thought they were supposed to be in Montreal this year too. Like, I thought they were supposed to lose their team. Like, I don't know, man.
Right.
Yeah. Whatever happened to that? But yeah, so I mean, we got the Yankees. We're gonna take the Yankees then. New York Yankees. The best line that we can find out there is on ProLine Plus. We're gonna take them on the money line. Do you feel comfortable with taking them on the run line, or should we just stick with the money line here?
Just the money line. This might have to be some bullcrap like 5-4, 3-2, late inning Yankee garbage. That's what I
so don't even bother with the first five or anything.
Just sort of the way the Yankees are going, I see this as sort of like one of those games where like it feels like the Yankees are melting down the whole time, and then they win by 1, and the game ends up being like 3-2, and you're like, what was everybody fucking so upset about?
I love it. Let's stick with the money line then. We're going to take the Yankees, New York Yankees, plus 115 on the money line. Best odds out there are ProLine Plus as they go on and take on the TB Rays. Fuck it. I'm done talking about them. I hate both those teams as well. So let's move on over to our third pick. And you're sniffing the Mariners, huh?
Seattle, my favorite story in baseball, I think, this year. A testament to the extra wild card spot, sort of taking teams in the situation that Seattle was in last year, where like they
knocked
sort of
at the door.
They sort of overperformed. Sort of, I don't think anybody was like, yeah. Like you looked at Toronto winning the same amount of games as them, and you were like, well, the Jays are on an upward trajectory. It makes sense that they left a little bit early. In Seattle, it was like huge fluke probably, but they spent the offseason and the beginning of this season bolstering that team and being like, no, we believe in some of the pieces here. We're gonna build a real core, and Julio Rodriguez has been unbelievable.
Julio, man, how could you not love the guy? Like that is
unbelievable.
Yes, he's so good. Yeah, and they're another team too that just like did not stand pat at the deadline as well, and they're making moves, and they ended up picking up Castillo, who's going to be taking the mound as well. Talk to us about this pitching matchup as Plesac takes on the mound for the Guardians.
I think Castillo Plesac is a easy. That's laughing all the way to the bank. In that matchup, if you're a Mariners fan, and I just feel like they have the mojo right now. It's obviously baseball, as you guys have talked about, betting on it all year long. You can run you sort of have to feel it at some point, and it's either going to work or it's not. And I'm feeling it with the Mariners 9-in, 9-out right now. So I'll ride with that more often than not here down the stretch.
Absolutely. So let's take the Mariners, and we're talking Seattle Mariners. I like it. I like it. It does scare me a little bit that they are in Cleveland. Cleveland tends to be pretty decent at home. But they, it's Cleveland's tough. They're a tough customer.
They are tough.
But you know what? This is almost Seattle's actually favored here with Cleveland at home. So it's funny. It's funny that is the way that's shaking up. But when we look at Seattle here, Seattle Mariners, we're going to take them on the money line. Correct? No first five, none of that monkey business. We're taking minus 132 on the money line. The best odds out there are for Bet Rivers. A couple other odds that are matching minus 132, but we do really like going with Bet Rivers. They have the best odds in the market. Talk to us a little bit about your betting strategy, though. If we're not line shopping, talk to us how you like to place your bets, because you're a big parlay guy, obviously.
Well, I like the same game. I like to sort of pick a player prop generally to go along with.
Nice.
Like when I'm talking like the Jays tonight, right? We talked about how steep even at a 1.5 that line still was. That sort of, whereas like if I'm picking the Jays to win by 2, I should probably pick a key player to go over on total bases. I was riding that with Matt Chapman for a long time when he got hot. With like the over 0.5 bases on Chapman, just adding on to wins was just like this is really a great way to sort of juice that. I'm a sicko. I love like a positive number. I sort of like it. For me, I always only bet, and I listen. It's not the smartest strategy in the world.
Man. See, I'm a pussy. I see plus money and I get butterflies in my stomach. I'm like, ooh, this is risky.
I'm a sucker for positive numbers.
Oh yeah, I mean, who isn't? That's great. So what if going back to then to maybe to our Jays pick here? If you are going to throw in a player prop, a same game parlay, what are you going to throw in?
I would probably throw in Manoah strikeouts over. It's either 4 or 5, 4.5 or 5.5. And I also play to score first a lot, just because I like to get one thing out of the way early. If I'm like, okay, I'm going to bet on this game, instead of sort of spreading around and sort of betting on a bunch of games all over the day, I generally like to focus on one game that I'm sort of interested in and watching anyway, and bet on some small stuff. Like I'll have as you said, the pick the best line, and then I will sort of do a small in-game parlay, and then I'll try to do something like scores first, just to sort of have something resolve early in the game that I can either have won or lost. It always feels good when, like, you know, a player hits a home run in the first inning and you've already cashed something on the game, and you're like, great, now the bigger long shot parlay doesn't matter at all. It's like that sort of to me, that's a great way to go through it.
Absolutely. No, I definitely love that. So, I mean, we can mention that we don't have the lines as we're recording Thursday night, so we don't have the player props that are out there. But that's something I'm definitely going to sprinkle on tomorrow is the over for Alek Manoah on strikeouts, along with the Jays on the run line. But then capping off again, like our picks here, we're going to have the Seattle Mariners minus 132 money line on Bet Rivers, which is where the best odds can be found. But that brings us towards the end of our show here, where we wrap everything up with the bango, bongo, pick and roll, baby. It's the pick and roll, brought to you by Betstamp, where we use the Betstamp app. We're finding the best odds out there, and by Yup Beer. Even though I'm not drinking Yup Beer this time, this one's a land shark, but Yup Beer. Check out yupbeer.com to find out a location near you. That's the stuff. Starting off with our Toronto Blue Jays minus 141 run line. You can find that over on Sports Interaction. Then we're going to follow that up with the New York Yankees as they take on the Rays in Tampa, plus 115. That one's on the money line on ProLine Plus. And then to cap it all off, we're taking the Seattle Mariners as they go into Cleveland, as Castillo takes the mound as well. Minus 132. That's the money line available on Bet Rivers. One more time. That is Andrew Zuber. Archie, buddy, so good to see you, man. So good to have you on the show. Can't wait to have you back on as well. It's been an absolute delight. Great to really chop it up with a great baseball mind and sports mind like yourself. And can't wait to have you back on in the middle of basketball season, hockey, football, you name it. Who's your team, by the way? Who's your team when it comes to football?
Packers. I've been a Packers guy.
Oh, just like your buddy over at Sportsnet, who we also have to have on the show as well. Yeah. Packers.
I gotta say, I can't. Here's the thing, and this is gonna sound so privileged, and so many people are gonna hate hearing this. I literally can't believe that people have a football team that they like that doesn't have a good quarterback. It's like, it's never, literally in my life, I've never not had like a quarterback that Favre was bad for a little bit.
You privileged fuck. Yeah, no, I mean, you go from Favre to Rodgers. I know. Yeah, that's crazy.
Like a year and a half, right? Because Rodgers got injured and Favre was really dog shit at the end. But like, there was a year that Rodgers got injured and was like, Tolzien was back there, and I was like, people watch this week in, week out. Holy shit! Like,
oh man, I will be following a bit of Packers, as I ended up picking Lazard towards the end of my draft yesterday. I think he's a pretty good value wide receiver there, and also I got Crosby. I got Crosby as my kicker, so go fuck yourself. But yeah,
nobody would make me angrier than having Crosby as a fantasy.
Oh no, should I drop him?
It's just not my cup of tea.
Oh yeah. Fair enough. We'll have to save that for the next time we get you back on the show and see how everything's checking out. But for Josh Elijah, the Zubes, and Jesse McKay, aka man, thank you so much again. We're gonna be signing off for a couple Fridays, so we'll see you back in September. Football will be well underway at that point, and keep an eye out for Tuesday, September the 6th, as we're dropping our episode with Davis Sanchez from TSN. Have yourselves a great long weekend. Have yourselves a happy Labor Day, and see you guys soon. Cheers.